So my understanding is that Arkansas tried to do what Texas is doing right now, where they implement some sort of really wide-ranging Delta-8 THCA hemp ban to close any farm bill loophole and close any sort of THC market that exists within Arkansas. My understanding was that the legislature passed that bill, but then a judge basically put an injunction on it or a stay on it and said, hey, guys, we don't know where this stands legally. We're going to let the market continue. We're going to basically hold off. We're going to put this bill on pause, the rules, and we're going to allow the market to continue until we determine if this is legally allowed or not, legally permissible, and then we will determine what to do. And my understanding is that the Supreme Court or some federal court just said, yeah, it's cool, you guys can go ahead with it, and that this ban that was in limbo for a little while is now going into effect, and Arkansas has an effective THC ban. Arkansas Attorney General Tim Griffin announced what he calls a significant legal victory after the United States Court of Appeals for the Eighth Circuit reversed a lower court's decision allowing the enforcement of Act 629 of 2023. This act bans certain psychoactive hemp products, including Delta-8 and Delta-9, which have been linked to adverse health effects primarily in children. Children cannot buy them, nor can they buy alcohol. Alcohol has been linked to adverse health effects, particularly in children. So he's for banning Arkansas for banning alcohol, right? I'm sure we're going to see an alcohol ban coming very, very shortly for Arkansas. I'm sure, right? Next week, I heard Arkansas next week, they're going to have a special session and they're totally going to ban alcohol, right? All these Republicans, they never drink. They've never drank in their entire life. They hate weed because weed's a gateway drug, but alcohol is totally fine. Today's ruling isn't just a win for Arkansas. It's a win for common sense and the rule of law, Griffin said. If you are selling these products, you are now doing it in violation of the law. The lawsuit, brought by Biogen LLC and others, challenged the act, arguing it violated the 2018 Farm Bill. However, the Eighth Circuit found no support for this claim within the bill's text or structure. Governor Sanders praised the court's decision, stating, "Today's win is a huge victory for the safety of every Arkansan, and especially our kids." Yeah, especially our kids. So, this argument makes no sense. So they're against any adult-centered product or service or anything that is adult-oriented that a kid could theoretically, under any circumstance, get their hands on, they would be against. So they're against any sort of psychoactive substance from weed to alcohol. They'd be against pornography. They'd be against R-rated movies. I mean, a kid could get his hands on an R-rated movie. They'd be against bad video. They'd be against violent video games. You could use this argument to be against basically any adult-centered thing that might be harmful towards kids. So they're against. So they think tobacco should be banned. So they think cigarettes and cigars should be outlawed because it's totally. I mean, kids can't go into a store and buy a cigarette or cigar, obviously, just like they obviously couldn't go in and buy THCA or Delta-8 or Delta-9 weed or whatever. But they could. It's totally. I mean, it's not impossible for a kid to get his hands on a cigarette. You know, maybe their dad left and they left a pack on the table or whatever. I mean, so therefore banning tobacco. Therefore, it's insane to me. And it's also antithetical to the whole concept of libertarianism, which seems to be sort of intertwined with the Republican Party at this point. Is don't you want adults to have the freedom of choice to if they want to ingest this specific substance, if they would choose to ingest Delta-8 over alcohol? Don't you think that it should be their right to make that decision, and the government shouldn't be the big bad government shouldn't be coming in imposing and restricting you and placing rules on you from top down like that? You'd think they'd be against that on principle, right? But no, that's never the case because they work backwards from their conclusion. They don't like weed, so they're going to work backwards from that conclusion. Senator Dees emphasized the law's focus on protecting children, saying, "This law has always been about protecting our children and the rest of society from a growing problem related to Delta-8 and other THC products." They're not available for sale to children. I don't understand where this children argument keeps coming from. Where does it keep coming from? You can't make this argument for just one substance or one thing and not every other adult-centered thing. It makes no sense at all. These people don't care one bit about consistency. And that frustrates me so much because I care so much about consistency. That's all I care about. When it comes to politics, my main focus is making sure that everything is intertwined correctly, that all of these positions that I hold synthesize properly, because everything's interconnected in our society, especially politically. And so to be consistent, everything needs to synthesize together properly. But these people aren't synthesizing. There's no consistency. They just bang against these ideas, just are insane, and they just don't care. They just don't care. Representative Gazaway added, "These products are essentially recreational marijuana, and I am glad the court confirmed the state's ability to ban them. Before our law, there was no regulation, no oversight, and no protections for consumers." So yeah, this seems a step in the opposite direction. They're going to pull a lot of money. So this is going to have tangible results, right? So this doesn't only mean that your local stoner is going to have to now not go to the local smoke shop in Arkansas, but is going to have to go to his local dealer to buy. That's not going to be the only negative consequence of this, right? They're going to be wide-ranging negative consequences. I don't know exactly how big the hemp THC market is in Arkansas, but I would imagine it's at least tens of millions of dollars, if not hundreds of millions of dollars. So all that money is being immediately pulled out of the GDP of the state, being pulled out of the economic circulation. You also have all of the businesses, all of the small business owners a lot of them are going to have to close shop because a lot of these smoke shops cannot sustain themselves just selling these hemp and THC products is a huge part of these smoke shops' business, and a lot of them will necessarily have to close if they cannot sell these. On top of there being thousands, if not tens of thousands of people directly employed by these smoke shops and businesses that sell these Delta 8, Delta 9 THCA hemp and weed products are now going to be out of the job. This is like definitionally a step backwards. This is like just such a huge step backwards, and I worry that Texas is very, very close to following in the exact same footsteps.